Hello everyone and welcome to our next unit, which is stop motion animation. In this video, we're going to introduce you to what stop motion animation is and the different types of stop motion animation. After we're done with that, we're going to give you a chance to look at a bunch of examples with the idea that that'll help you better understand what stop motion is, how it works, and kind of different techniques and types people have done. After that, the next video will show you how to use Stop Motion Studio, which is an app on the iPad. And then we're going to show you how to begin your first stop motion animation, from figuring out the storyline to which type of stop motion animation you want to use. And then also to the technical things like figuring out how to set up a studio, a stand for your camera, those types of things. And finally, at the end, to teach you how to edit your animation and export it and turn it in. So to start off with, stop motion animation is basically a filmmaking technique, and you've probably seen it on TV or in the theater, where they take objects, physical objects, and move them in very small increments and basically take a picture of them one frame at a time. Later on, when they combine those pictures in a sequence and watch them run, it produces the illusion of movement. A really good example of that is a flip book, and I think a lot of you have done that. So I'm going to show you an example of a flip book here, where each frame is not taken by the camera, but is produced by the cards that they're going to flip. So you can see each flipping card has a little bit of a movement on it, and when they flip them together, it produces what looks like motion. Stop motion animation is a little bit different than that, in that you're using the camera to capture each frame, versus over here you had a card that you redrew the character and moved it slightly. So this is a similar process, but using the camera to capture each frame. The first of the stop motion animation types that we're going to talk about is cutout stop motion. You saw that a little bit in the video I just showed you, but basically you're cutting out paper or cloth or something like that and producing a two-dimensional object or series of objects and then putting them in motion, little increments at a time. So here's an example of that. The next type is called object stop motion, and as the name implies, you're using real objects. In this case, you see a scissors on the screen there, or in the upper left, you see parts of a Rubik's Cube, and you move those to produce the illusion of motion. So here's an example of that. Another type of stop motion animation is called clay stop motion, or in your case, it might be Play-Doh, would be a better description if you don't have clay. But again, you're using Play-Doh or clay to produce small incremental changes and taking pictures of those to create motion. So here's another example. Pixelation is another form of stop motion animation. In this case, the characters are actually humans, and you can see this one's a little more complicated because of where you'd have to have the camera, but it gives you a good idea of how this works.
You better start running!
Another form is called puppet animation, and the name implies exactly what it is. You're using a puppet or a doll or something like that to produce the animation. Again, depending on which puppet you use, this can be a little more complicated than it needs to be, but here's an example of that.
Green Man. Green Man.
Okay, you get the idea, I think. So we're gonna move on to the next one. Silhouette animation is just that. You hang a white sheet, and in the background you have a lamp that'll cast a shadow on the characters. And so here's an example of silhouette animation.
Falling down to the red tree, and the air moves thick through the hollow. Will you wait for me there until someone comes to carry me down? See, I have no cold.
Okay, again, you get the idea. So those are the examples, the different types of stop motion animation. A lot of times you see a combination of several types together, so that can be done as well. Now what we're going to have you do is in Schoology, in the week of January 4th, you're going to find a Google Doc that has many examples, as you see here. So this is a picture of that. And what starts off at the top are these some really cool examples, kind of like some of them you saw, but these are, I thought, were very interesting. Done by professionals, so kind of very high level. It's always fun to see where you might end up if you really put a lot of effort into things. But these are all very short stop motion examples that you can look at. And the idea is to help you generate different concepts of what can be done, different ideas of how to do it, and looking at the different objects they use. So it's really about generating a bunch of different ideas and becoming more familiar with that. The next videos will help you learn about Stop Motion Studio, which is the app on the iPad. And then after that, the next video will help you kind of understand how to create a story, decide what objects you're going to use, maybe even possibly storyboard it, set up your studio, what things do you need, how will you hold your camera, where will the lighting be, that type of stuff. And finally, we'll show you how to edit and then export your animation to turn it in. Thanks for watching, and now you should be looking at the examples, going back into Schoology and finding stop motion studio examples or stop motion animation examples, where all those links are, and take a look at those.